this demo, we'll be walking through the application record. From my Application and Evidence menu, I'm going to navigate to Installed Applications. And I am going to filter on SQL. Going to open up my SQL application. As you can see from here, the publisher is Microsoft. I have 16 installations of this product. The classification is commercial. The status is set to authorized. And the source is Flexera. Let's open this record up. On the General tab, you'll see the product, the publisher, version, edition, name, the source, the Flexera ID, the classification, and the application category. You'll also see the status. In our case, this one's set to authorized. You will also see a source at the top of this record here, and in this case, our source is Flexera. That means this is an application recognition record that is current with our current library. The other sources could be Flexera Extended. Flexera Extended would be if you were to take evidence and assign it to an existing application. And you will also see the source of local, and that is if you have created your own application from evidence like we did in our previous exercise. You'll also see underneath here that this is also labeled as a suite containing applications. You would also maybe see part of a suite there as well if it is an individual application that's included as part of another suite. Our next tab is usage. The default usage for all applications in the application recognition library is set to a 3-month usage period. This can be modified per each application in the ARL by toggling these up and down arrows. You can also modify, you can put a restriction on the number of times the application was started exceeds, or the number of hours an application was active exceeds a number of hours. Again, the entire application recognition library is set to a usage period by default of 90 days, a 3-month period. Next, you would see a license tab. This is the license or licenses that this application can be a part of. This application is actually a part of a Visual Studio Enterprise license. It's also a part of a Visual Studio Professional license, both which are named users. And then it's also a part of the SQL Server Enterprise Core license. This license consumption order is very important, knowing that if you do assign a Visual Studio license to a named user, that it would get consumed before you would need a separate SQL Server license for that. This order can be modified by moving those around, and if it has been modified and you want to return that to its previous state, you could return this to automatically managed yes. It goes to no when you move them, and if you return that to yes, it will go back to its original default order. The next tab is Evidence. On the Evidence tab, we have many different types of evidence. This is the many types of installer evidence that can be used to recognize this application. You might see differences in spelling, the versioning, those types of things, if it's 64-bit or 32-bit. So we recognize many different evidences as Microsoft SQL Server 2019 Enterprise. You'll also see the number of matches. A column would let you know what's contributing to this consumption would be we have 16 with a match on this piece of evidence. Another valuable field is that if this was Flexera Extended, you could look at the added evidence column and see which evidence had been added. You can also see the same for file evidence. You can set recognition rules for file evidence. You also can see WMI evidence, any access evidence, and last but not least, since this is a suite, we would see the suite and members populated. In this case, there are 9 different applications that could be recognized as SQL Server 2019 Enterprise. The 9 are listed here below, and we have no required field, and the minimum installation for suite recognition is 1, letting you know that if we see any of these 9 applications installed on a device, then we would call that Microsoft SQL Server 2019 Enterprise. These numbers can be modified to where it could require 2, or you could have 3 and require 1 by modifying the minimum installation requirement and also whether it is required or not. Next item is devices. This would show you inventory devices with this installed on it, and also if there were containers serving up this application as well. In this case, we have the name of our devices, the calculated user, and the license name if it's consuming that.